We're here to spark your growth, lift your spirit, and help you crush your potential.
Rise awakening.
Hey, this is Brindle Wolf.
And I'm Lunaria.
You're listening to Rise Awakenings, part of the Rise Radio Network where advice meets action.
We're here to spark your growth, lift your spirit, and help you crush your potential.
Rise awakening. Hear the call. Through the static, we break the wall. Your nation, your voice, where dreams awaken. Blood, rise awakening. Now is the time.
Rise Awakenings. Let's rise together.
Cards laid bare, shadows collide. Hidden truths in the tide. A spark in the dark, it glows. Illuminate, illuminate. Through the fog, the stars awake. Illuminate, illuminate. The path you seek, the steps you take. Thunder rolls, whispers rise. The deck unfolds, no disguise. Light cracks the veil, it shows. What's unseen now inside? What's unseen now inside? What's unknown now ignite. Illuminate, illuminate. Through the fog, the stars awake. Illuminate, illuminate. The path you seek, the steps you take.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. I'm so glad y'all are here. Just in case this is your first time here, I am Carrie, also known on the radio station as Lunaria, and this is Illuminate. And what we do here is we do a full Celtic cross reading, go into a little depth with the trauma aspects of the cards, as well as their typical meaning, what they mean in reverse, what the symbols stand for. And once we finish that, we will go into a homework card for the week that we go into even more depth into. And at the end of the show, we will, for anyone in the live audience that would like to have a shadow work card pulled for them for the week, we will do that as well. Don't forget, when it comes to tarot readings, not everything will always resonate with you. If it doesn't, just leave it for who it does belong to. And if it does resonate, perhaps you can learn something from it. Anyway, without further ado, we will get started with our reading for the week. All right. Hold on a second. I need to get to the top. All right. So this is not a gentle reading this week. Illuminate my faith in the end of this week being better than the start. Let's hope so. Let's hope so. This is not the right ones. Okay. All right, let's get started. Present position. Currently, right now, we are in the Four of Swords. A figure lies in repose, often on a tomb, hands in prayer. One sword beneath him depicting the mind at rest, and three hanging above, which represents the past stress still looming but not active. Stained glass nearby suggests spiritual protection or divine pause. Why are the notifications making noise? They're not supposed to. And I don't have I'm sorry, hold on one second. I don't have my mouse. It's kind of hard to move through these notes without it. Be good. Oh, and I forgot to unmute the radio. I'm not having the greatest morning, by the way, just so you know. I am not in the greatest mood. Yes, we get in shitty moods too, so it happens sometimes, and today happens to be one of those for me, so I apologize if I'm a little bit out of sorts. All right, so back to the Four Swords. This appears in the present position because you are forced or chosen pause. This isn't laziness, this is integration. Your system is saying we are not moving forward until we process what just happened. If you have a history of needing to earn rest or feeling unsafe when things are quiet, this energy can feel uncomfortable. Silence can trigger overthinking, and you may feel like you're falling behind when you're actually just recalibrating. Stop trying to rush clarity. This is a nervous system reset. Sleep more. Be still. The answers won't come through action. They'll come through the stillness and reflection. All right. In our crossing energy this week, we have the Hangman. A figure hangs upside down, calm, halo glowing. This is surrender, suspension, and seeing from an inverted perspective. The challenge is letting go of control and allowing a new perspective to emerge. You can't figure your way out of this. You have to release your grip on how you think things should go. This can trigger feelings of powerlessness, especially if you've experienced situations where you had no control. It can feel like being stuck or like life is happening to you. Reframe stuck as sacred suspension. Ask yourself, what am I being shown that I couldn't see before? This is enlightenment through discomfort. All right, next up. We have another non-favorite, the Five of Swords. A figure gathers swords while others walk away defeated. The sky is tense. This is a hollow victory, conflict, ego, or misaligned communication. It's at the root because there's a deep internal narrative around winning versus losing, or needing to protect yourself mentally and emotionally, even if it costs connection. Past betrayal, manipulation, or conflict where you had to outthink or defend yourself may still be influencing your reactions. There can be a subconscious belief that someone always loses. Not every situation needs a winner. Healing here comes from asking, am I choosing peace or am I choosing to be right? Release the need to guard yourself so aggressively. All right, in the past, we have strength. A woman gently closes a lion's mouth, infinity symbol above her head. This is compassion over force, inner resilience, and emotional mastery. This tells us that you've already done significant work around self-control, emotional regulation, and quiet strength. You've learned to hold yourself together when things got hard. Sometimes strength turns into overfunctioning, being the strong one for everyone else while neglecting your own needs. The attitude of, I'll handle it, becomes a mask. You don't always have to be the strong one. True strength now is allowing softness and support. All right. Conscious goal. We had some crappy cards today. Sorry. Five of Wands. Multiple figures clash with wands. Chaotic, but not truly violent. This is tension, competition, or differing opinions. Consciously, you may be trying to work through conflict, sort through competing desires, or find your place in a chaotic situation. This can trigger discomfort with conflict, either avoiding it entirely or feeling overwhelmed by too many voices, either internal or external. Try to remember that not all conflict is bad. This is creative friction. Let ideas clash without attaching your identity to the outcome. You're refining, not failing. All right, in the near future, we have the world. A figure within a wreath surrounded by 4 fixed signs: completion, integration, and wholeness. This is occurring because you are approaching a major cycle completion. Something is wrapping up in a way that brings closure, understanding, and expansion. Endings, even positive ones, can trigger grief or fear of the unknown. You may hesitate to fully close a chapter, but you need to let it end fully. Don't drag old energy into your next chapter. Celebrate how far you've come. You've earned this level up. All right. In the position of yourself, we have the Knight of Cups. A knight holding a cup, moving calmly. Watery imagery suggests emotion, intuition, romance, and creativity. This shows up in the position of self because you are showing up as emotionally open, intuitive, and led by the heart. There's a softness here, a willingness to feel and follow inspiration. This can lean into escapism, idealization, or falling in love with potential instead of reality. There's also a vulnerability to disappointment. Stay open, but also grounded. Let your heart lead, but bring your discernment with you. All right. In your environment, we have the Seven of Pentacles. A figure pauses, leaning on a tool, evaluating the growing pentacles, patience, assessment, and long-term investment. Your environment is in a waiting and evaluation phase. Things are growing, but slowly. There's a sense of, is this even worth it? Which can trigger impatience or fear that your efforts won't pay off, especially if you've experienced delayed gratification that never came. Don't abandon something just because it's taking time, but also honestly assess the situation. Is this aligned, or are you investing out of habit? Sorry, throat chakra irritation. All right. Woo. In your hopes and fears, we have the Three of Cups. 3 figures celebrating, cups raised. This is community, joy, and connection. It appears here because you deeply desire connection, celebration, and emotional support, but there may also be a fear around belonging or being truly seen. Past experiences of exclusion, surface level friendships, or betrayal in social circles may create hesitation. Let yourself be supported. Not everyone is your past. Safe, reciprocal joy is available. All right, in the outcome today, we have the Empress, a nurturing figure surrounded by nature, abundance, fertility. This is Venus energy, creation, beauty, and full embodiment. You are moving into a phase of deep self-worth, creative expansion, and emotional abundance. This is receiving energy, not chasing it. Receiving can feel unsafe if you're used to earning love or operating in survival mode. You may feel undeserving of the ease of it. Let it be easy. Let yourself receive love, abundance, and beauty without overthinking it. This is your soft life era, but only if you allow it. The overall narrative of this reading says you're being taken through the process of resting, surrendering control. God, surrendering control, releasing ego-based defenses, letting go of overstrength, navigating tension, and completing a major cycle so that you can step into heart-led living, aligned investment, true connection, and ultimately abundance and embodiment. This is a deep healing disguised as why is everything so weird right now energy. There's a very clear theme: pause, perspective, shift, ego shedding, and rebirth into a softer aligned creation. But it's not happening without some internal wrestling first. All right, so I did something today that I don't normally do. I pulled 3 clarifying cards on 2 of the cards that we went. I wanted some clarification on, first of all, let me scroll back up because I want to see exactly where they fell. First, I wanted some clarification on the world, which appeared in which position? I've lost it now. The world in the near future. I wanted some clarification about what that was. And then I also wanted some clarification about the ending of the Empress. So The clarifying cards that came out for the world were the Ten of Swords, yippee, the Eight of Cups, another yippee, and Justice. So the Ten of Swords is saying that this is the final ending. It cannot continue like this moment. The Eight of Cups is emotional detachment, leaving something that once mattered. And Justice, this is the truth, the accountability, and the karmic balance. This is the end of the pain cycle you stayed in too long because you were trying to understand it, fix it, or be fair about it. We're looking at a relationship dynamic, a mindset where you were overgiving or over explaining. Something that hurt you repeatedly, but you kept trying to see both sides, an emotional attachment to something that already showed you it couldn't meet you. Justice here is the mic drop. It's the you're no longer negotiating with what hurts you. You're seeing it clearly and choosing yourself. The trauma thread you were facing screamed, if I just understand it better, I can fix it. If I'm fair, they'll be fair. And if I stay, it will change. But that's not discernment. That's trauma trying to create safety through control and reasoning. End it cleanly. No emotional backtracking. No romanticizing what broke you. And no one more chance for closure. Closure is already here. Justice doesn't linger. It finalizes. All right. And so clarifying the Empress as far as what is coming in for us, I got the Ace of Cups, which is emotional renewal, love, and spiritual fulfillment. The King of Pentacles, this is stability, reliability, and long-term security. And the Page of Wands, this is curiosity, excitement, and a new creative spark. This is big, and it's not just one thing. This is a new way of living that touches multiple areas. It's new love or a new renewed emotional experience that finally feels safe, open, and genuine. It's not confusing. It's not hot and cold energy. It's clear, offered, and mutual. It's a person or an opportunity that is consistent, grounded, and actually shows up. It could be a stable partner, a financial improvement, or a business project gaining real traction. It's a new idea, creative project, or a life direction that excites you again. Curiosity finally returns, motivation returns, and you feel alive again. Your old pattern included overthinking love, earning stability, or staying in confusion. But your new pattern is receiving love, being supported, and following joy without fear. You don't chase this anymore, you allow it. But here's the catch. Don't mistrust it just because it's easy. Don't self-sabotage because it's unfamiliar. And don't downplay it because it's not chaotic. Healthy can feel strange at first until your nervous system realizes it's safe. You are closing out a chapter where you tolerated emotional confusion, you tried to outthink your pain, and you carried more than your share. And you are now stepping into a chapter where love is offered, not extracted. Stability is present, but not promised. Joy is felt, not chased. The real shift, you're no longer trying to decode whether something is right for you. You're going to feel it immediately. All right. I hope that those clarifiers kind of helped. I kind of needed them for my own clarity, so I threw that in there. All right. Bubble Kitten says, this morning was that moment where I woke up and felt happy. Scared the crap out of me. I understand that. I woke up in a shitty mood this morning. I understand that too. But anyway, that's a good sign, and I'm glad to hear that, Bubble Kittens. You deserve it. You've gone through enough. It is time for that to start happening for all of us. All right, so our homework card, and I'm not sure. I don't know why. I feel like we've had this one already, and it feels like it was not that long ago. You guys will let me know. But if so, then it just means for whatever reason we're not listening and we need to hear it again. But the homework card for this week is death. This card gets misunderstood constantly because readers tend to soften it. And I'm not going to do that for you. Death is a sacred ending, ego shedding, identity molting, and irreversible transformation. Death is the alchemist of endings. It's not destruction for chaos, but removal of what cannot continue with you into your new evolution. This is phoenix energy, snake shedding skin, autumn stripping trees bare, and the moment after you realize I can't go back to who I once was. The skeletal knight in black armor rides a white horse. There's a black flag with a white rose. Bodies of all classes lie before him, a king, a child, and a priest. In the background, a rising sun comes up between two towers. We're going to break that imagery down a little bit piece by piece so that we can understand what it means. The skeleton represents what is permanent and unavoidable. It strips away identity, status, and ego, and it says what is real will remain, what is false will fall. This is truth at its most bare. The black armor says death is invulnerable. You cannot bargain, charm, or logic your way out of this transformation. This is where control dies and the universe is now in charge. The white horse represents purity of purpose. This change is divinely aligned, even if it feels brutal. It's not happening to you, it's happening for you and your evolution. The black flag and the white rose, the black symbolizes endings, void, and the unknown, where the white rose represents purity, rebirth, and new beginnings. With death, the ending and beginning are the same event. The fallen figures represent that death comes for power in the king, innocence in the child, and belief systems in the clergy. Nothing is exempt. Not your roles, not your identity, and not your narratives. The rising sun between the towers is the same. It's the same two towers from the moon card. You're moving out of that illusion in the moon card and into truth. After death comes clarity, but only after release. Death hits hardest when your identity has been built around survival roles, people pleasing, and control. Who you had to be loved or safe. The psychology of death card says that it collapses outdated self-concepts, forces grief of who you thought you were, and removes coping mechanisms that no longer serve. This can feel like emptiness, disorientation, or the feeling that I don't recognize myself anymore. That's not a breakdown, that's identity deconstruction. When resisted, though, death becomes dragging out endings that are already over, clinging to relationships, roles, or identities long past their expiration. Deep fears of the unknown or emotional paralysis. And I know it's over, but I just can't let go. Or the opposite extreme, burning everything down impulsively and self-sabotage to force change instead of allowing it. Shadow death is control in disguise. Death is a grief card, not just for people, but for versions of you, timelines that didn't happen, expectations you had, and love that didn't evolve. And here's the truth most people skip. You can know something is right to end and still grieve it deeply. Grief is not misalignment. Grief is honoring what was real about it. Death doesn't just flip a switch. It moves in phases. First phase, recognition. This isn't working anymore. The second phase is resistance. But maybe if I try harder. The third is severance. Something shifts internally or externally and the ties break. The fourth is void. The in-between. No identity and no old identity and no new one yet. And fifth is rebirth. A new self begins forming organically, not forced. The warning here, most people panic in the void stage, and try to resurrect the past. I'm going to repeat that. Most people panic in that void stage where your old self is gone and your new self has not completely formed yet, and you will try to resurrect the past because you feel so empty. Spiritually, death is an initiation. You are being stripped of illusion, reintroduced to truth, and aligned with your actual path, not your conditioned one. This is where karmic cycles end. Contracts dissolve. Soul growth accelerates. You don't meet death unless you're ready for real evolution. In love, it can be the end of a relationship or an end of the dynamic within that relationship. It's shedding attachment patterns, and it's no more almost and no more confusion cycles. This is letting go with clarity and self-respect. The shadow can be staying in something dead out of fear or trying to revive something that is already completed. In career or life path, this is an identity shift. Who you thought you were versus who you are becoming. And this is leaving something stable but misaligned. This can look like, why doesn't this fulfill me anymore? And sudden clarity that you've outgrown a particular path. What death is not. This is not a literal physical death prediction. It's not punishment and it's not random chaos. It is precision removal. All right, this is the key. Stop negotiating with what is already over. Let it fall without trying to control the timeline. Allow grief without turning it into regression, and don't rush the rebirth phase. Ask yourself, what am I afraid will happen if I fully let this go? Who am I without this? And that second question, that's the doorway. The light at the end of this, because yes, there is a light at the end of this. Death always makes space for something more aligned, more truthful, more sustainable. But it will not show you that fully until you release completely. Death is not here to ruin your life. It's here to end the version of your life that requires overexertion, keeps you in cycles, and no longer reflects who you are becoming. This is the moment where you stop surviving your life and start transforming it. I'm a meanie now. I don't want to be a meanie, and I'm sorry, because that reading hurt me as much as it hurt you guys. And I'm not going to lie, I'm going to cry. This is going to be a short show today. I don't want it to end. I'm not going to lie about it. I still don't want it to end, and you guys know me and know well enough to know what I'm talking about. I realize that it's already over. It wasn't my decision to make. And it obviously wasn't what was meant for me. But that doesn't take away the pain. Still, all these months later, it still hurts. And I still don't want to let it go. And that is where I've been struggling for the last 6 months or so. We've been here every week through my 3 shows, through Micah's shows, through Diane's shows, and I know better. But I still love him. And that's all there is to it. I have to do the work myself as much as you guys do as well. I know that it might not be right, and I know it might not be what's right for me, but I do still have love for him, and because of my empathetic nature, I also still feel for the things that I know created pain for him. And I'm not quite at the place where I'm ready to let go. I keep hoping he'll show back up with apologies and with some changes, but it's not happening. So we have to surrender. All right, I'm going to look at the chat a little bit before I end up in complete tears. I get that totally, Carrie. I've been fighting it till recent, and now it feels different than it did. I know, and I do know that phase comes. And we talked about this so much, and it's part of why we've been talking about it. It's not our choice when necessarily when that feeling changes. And I have to stop beating myself up feeling like it's taking too long, because we've talked about this too. It happens when it happens. We can't make the grief stop. We can't make the pain go away. We can do our work, and we can sit in our hermit mode, and we can go through all the feelings, but that doesn't make it any easier in the process. Micah says, because I'm a glutton for punishment, so I'll take a shadow card. It's never fun losing someone, toxic or not. no matter how long you knew them. Even if I knew them 5 minutes or 5 years, it still sucks. Every time I'm crying with you. Thank you guys for the hugs. I appreciate it. Yeah, it does suck. It's, when especially if you get no closure, you get no explanation, you don't really understand. You just know that they're gone. And you want those hugs, and they're gone. And it hurts. It's painful. But I'll get there. I've been through similar situations before. I don't recall them ever being quite this painful, to be honest with you, but I'll get there. Yes, I'm in that void, and that's exactly what I was talking about with the void situation. You're in that void of the in between where you know that it was probably the best thing that it ended, but that version of you is now gone, and now you're sitting here going, well, now what do I do? Now where do I go? I don't want somebody new. I still want to be with him. I'm not going to go out and date when I'm not healed. So, AKA says, I'm slowly starting to appreciate my time alone, but it's been a struggle. I hate loneliness, and the void and loneliness sucks. It does. It does. You see them go on with their life and keep going like nothing ever happened, and you're sitting there for months on end just in tears. And yes, Michael, it takes as long as it takes. You can't help it, especially when there's no reason at all that you feel. But God or the universe has stepped in and decided this is what's going to happen. And it takes as long as it takes. I know. Michael says, I will obsess over it days, weeks, months, trying to figure out why. And it takes a while to go away, asking and trying to figure out why. That's part of the problem, though, is that we're trying to figure out why. And there may not be a reason that we're ever going to understand. And that's the part that's most hurtful. The figuring out why, because you can't figure out why. You can know that you had a part in why it ended, but especially if you weren't expecting it and it just happened all of a sudden and there's no closure, and that leaves you're right, it leaves a deep pain and a deep scar, and it leaves a stain on your heart and your spirit that doesn't go away, at least especially not quickly. Anyway, so let's get out of this because I've had enough, and let's move into our shadow cards for the week. Michael already said he wanted one. I'm going to bubble kid and says, my situation is different than yours, but I found out yesterday that when I come across emails where he sent dirty pics and explicit emails, that it made me turn green. And that's a good sign. That's a good sign. And Michael says, but like you said, sometimes you can't. I'm getting better and not letting it get me stuck. You got this. Yeah, I know I got this. AKA says, it's 20 years later and I'm still affected by my ex-husband's hurts. Yeah. It does hurt. And for me, it wasn't, I think part of the pain is it wasn't like some of what you guys are going through, or like what I've been through in the past, where it was somebody who was narcissistic and cruel and hurt me terribly, or a past where one of my exes was physically abusive or anything like that. There was a lot of kindness in this person. There were red flags and there were things that he said and did that hurt me, but not like, something severe. So it's a little harder to take. All right. Let me see. I don't want to forget anybody. Michael, I'm starting with you. Michael, no one likes to think of themselves as an envious or jealous person, but these feelings exist in the shadow of every person. Didn't this come out last week? When was the last time you felt jealous or envious of someone's success or life position? What can you learn about yourself in acknowledging the meaning behind your feelings? All right, Bubble Kitten, I missed the order, but I get everybody. Bubble Kittens, your turn, baby girl. The shadow archetype, the magician, is a change agent who deeply understands how things work. They can alchemize or transform things to go their way. What times in life have you been able to harness this powerful energy? How can you transform shadow material to aid your life's journey? All right, Cindy. Okay, one for you, ma'am. Many cultures view commitment within romantic connection as righteous ideal and moral issue. As a result, you do not routinely examine unsavory beliefs about commitment within the personal shadow. What are your thoughts about commitment? How do you think you've been conditioned to view commitment by your social circle or culture? All right, who am I missing? Cindy. Was it Cindy that Oh, somebody tell me who I'm missing. AKA Gaming. Why can I not think of your real name right now? My brain is fog. Okay. AK. While the shadow hides aspects of the self, the persona represents the traits you show others in everyday life. Sorry. Sheila, that's right. I'm so sorry. This person often compensates for the shadow's ugliness. What part of the persona do you magnify or highlight in front of others? What may this projection be compensating for in the shadow? I know you, Micah. I wasn't going to forget you. Micah. Everyone has at least one part of themselves that they don't like. We all have insecurities that show up every now and then. How does insecurity show up in your life? What situations or choices from your past do you think have been unconsciously driven by your insecurities? Now, I know Rev D was going to be listening. I know she would probably want one I don't know if she's here, but if she wasn't able to make it, she can get it later. So I'm going to give her one anyway. Growing up, as you receive social feedback about what is appropriate or not, you form a schema or worldview about your sexuality. This might include denial or minimization of certain fantasies. What messages have you received about sexual intimacy and desire? What beliefs, interests, or fantasies have you shied away from? Why is it every time you pull for me, it's spot on for the exact thing I'm going through? Because that's what we do. This is what we do. We can't make this shit up, remember? All right, I'm getting myself now. Whew. Oh, shit. All right, here we go. Regression is an unconscious defense mechanism used to protect yourself from difficult feelings. It manifests as age-inappropriate behavior. For example, an adult stomping their feet during an argument or hiding when confronted. When have you displayed age-inappropriate behavior as an adult? What shadow material might this reaction reveal for you? Whatever. All right. Last but not least, if there's anybody else I missed, holler at me real quick while I pull up our soul truth for the week. All right. Just hits right on the nerve of what's getting to me in the moment. And yeah, the others have to, but it's like you find the exact scar that is hurting at the moment. I understand that. I mean, I don't, like when I pull the tarot each week, when I pull the reading, it's like, I get done and I go, can one of these not be about me? And I know they're not just about me because you guys react to it too. And, the people that watch the podcasts and everything else, I get, comments and stuff too, that it's not just me and it's not just you. It's not just them. They hit. And it's because we haven't necessarily learned the lesson, or we're still stuck in that spot that we're trying so desperately to get out of. All right, so before I go into what's going on Rise Radio and Rise Awakenings, our last but not least soul truth. I know this wasn't a choice that I just pulled out of thin air either. This is what came out of the deck. How can I surrender even more in this moment? It is essential to have clear, strong intentions of what we desire, but it's equally, excuse me, that was a hiccup for the point on that. But it's equally important for us to detach from the outcome. It's time to surrender. Let the universe have some breathing room to work. Let go of the wheel and trust so deeply that your trust turns into gratitude for what you cannot see yet, but you know is coming. Today's soul action. Know this so deeply that your soul vibrates. Know it. You are not alone. Your life has purpose, and the more you surrender, the more the universe can produce miracles in your life. Today's mantra: I surrender. I accept all that I cannot change. I release the outcome, and I joyfully trust the process. Bubblekin says, mine is the fact that I don't have to pull miracles out of my butt anymore, which feels weird. AKA the aggression is strong because I get angry all the time. Yeah, we go through, that's part of the grieving process. The stages of grief. Look in the past history of, go to the new YouTube and find the Phoenix Talks episode where they discuss the processes of grieving. And then also, I believe in my blog, there is a blog that I wrote about the stages of grief. Because grief isn't just about losing someone to death. Grief can be about losing a job. It can be about losing a relationship. It can be about a lot of things. So yeah, they're all there. Micah says they're all there. They're all in the playlists now of the new YouTube. So go find that, because that is a difficult one to deal with, the stages of grief, but you can find it, some help there and in the blog. All right, so Kicked at Darkness, Jamie is on Voices on the Rise tonight, 6 p.m. on Rise Radio Network. We found out, I want to say April 15th is the day that Unplug, that week is when Unplug and Rock Rewind comes back. We're all looking forward to that. 5th, I'm sorry, I was off. All right, so the 5th Unplug will be back, which means the 7th, I believe, then. Yes, Rock Rewind will be back. So we're all looking forward to that. Tune in tonight for for Voices on the Rise with Hathery. Kicked at Darkness, Jamie is so much fun. You'll have a great time. So hope to see you there. On Awakenings Radio, Monday will be The Bloom with Rev D at 11. Mike and I will be back Monday night at 6 p.m. for The Messengers. Micah will be back Tuesday at noon for Brindle's Vision. Wednesday, 6 p.m. will be Phoenix Talks. Thursday morning, 11 a.m. will be The Core. And then next Friday, I'll be right back here at 11 a.m. Thank you for the hug, Cindy. I love you. I appreciate you. 6 p.m. I believe is the time for the show tonight. I believe Voices on the Ride is on at 6 p.m. So I love you guys so much. Thank you for being here with me. Know that while we may be here to try to help you through things, you guys help us just as much. Just you being here and listening and talking with me and everything, it's helpful to me too, to know that I have you guys in my corner, and you guys know that we're always in yours, because we love you so much. Yeah, that would be, if it's mountain time, it would be 2 hours earlier. So 4 o'clock, I think, something like that. Okay, Micah just put up the links to Embers in the chat. Also, the QR code. I have to figure out how to work this stuff. Let me see if I can find it. Here it is. There it is, up there in the corner. I'm sitting here pointing with my mouse, like you guys can see my mouse, but up here in the corner is the Embers of Light. Anyway, all right, you guys, I love you so much. Have a great weekend. Thank you, Bubble Kittens. I know you're always here for me, and I appreciate you. Love you guys so much. I'll see you guys next week, or I'll see you on Monday. Have a fantastic weekend and enjoy. Love yourselves, as Micah always says, because you know we love you too. All right.
What's unseen now inside? What's unknown now ignite? Illuminate, illuminate through the fog, the stars away. Illuminate, illuminate the path you seek, the steps you take.
Hey, this is Brindle Wolf.
And I'm Lunaria.
You're listening to Rise Awakenings, part of the Rise Radio Network where advice meets action.
We're here to spark your growth, lift your spirit, and help you crush your potential.
Rise awakening, hear the call. Through the shining, we break the wall. Your station, your voice where dreams awakening life. Rise awakening, now is the dawn.
Rise Awakenings. Let's rise together.